Hi everyone, this is BEBE Davis, publisher and founder of 1021 Magazine, and welcome to part 2 of our series finale of the coronavirus pandemic. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for the love on the YouTube channel, and thank you so much for the love on our social media platforms. I also want to take this time to wish everyone a beautiful and blessed Palm Sunday. And here we are at the beginning of another week, and we do have some good reports despite some grim reports, and we also have some controversial reportings that I'm going to pick up on from part 1 of today's finale series. I first want to start with the numbers, by the numbers that I did on today. The number of coronavirus by the numbers of the country and those who have been affected and recovered versus those who have been affected and died, they are so many degrees of separation, which is a good thing. The amount of infection and recovery is higher than the infection than death. And again, by no means do we want to say that those deaths are in vain, because they are not. And what we can do as we the people here in the United States and others all over the world is to take this very seriously without a moment of pause, because the numbers coming from the Surgeon General are stating that it's going to be an astronomical rise in deaths, and we must brace ourselves for this particular peak. It would be great to still be optimistic and hope and pray that the numbers that they are projecting will not come to pass. But nevertheless, the health workers, those on the front lines, those who continue to keep the world going, who have to be there, the essential jobs, we send our love and our prayers to them, because they are putting their lives at risk. We are to self-quarantine ourselves as much as possible to stay away from others. Social distancing is imperative. Every time that we step out of our homes and we go to get our essentials, we put ourselves at risk. When we come in, we put our homes at risk, bringing from whatever on the outside into our homes. There has been on short supply many of the things that we take for granted every day. Paper products, disinfectants. It is a real pandemic that we're seeing. And many of us have not experienced this type of pandemic before. We've read, those who do the history of pandemics and epidemics before, and those numbers were alarmingly high, that wiped out villages and almost wipe out countries. We are fighting a virus that has no cure yet. So this is where I move on into the conversation of the controversial. But before I do that, let me back up a little bit. When we go out and we have to get the things that we need, I'm telling you that I have experienced myself, as well as others, that you have people who may have to go out themselves, because I have no one else to go out for them. These people have been coughing, and whether you are behind them or like I was, like 3 people in front of them, once that cough goes out and they did not cover their mouths or anything, and I've seen that continuously just for the amount of time that I've been out, I've been locking myself down, and I'm trying to keep locking myself down as much as possible. Once that cough goes out, it just dissipates out all over. It's just like if you sprayed something, disinfectant spray, house spray, bug spray. Once it goes out, it just keeps traveling. So that's why it's important that we get the mask and we prepare ourselves as much as we can, and that we wash our hands and everything. But you be out when you need to be out, because you will compromise yourself, and you should respect yourself enough to not do that. As far as rationing, you should start the practice of rationing. A lot of times through our day-to-day, we're just used to going to the store and getting what we need if we're out, or if we're running low on this, we're just used to, okay, let me just go and get it, or call for delivery, or however you have your business set up when you run low on things. Well, we're living in a different time now. We're living in a different moment. This is not the normal, but this is our now normal. You have to ration your paper products, your food, your drink, your essentials, as much as you can. Do the minimum, but still keep yourself together as much as possible. Because a lot of times we do overuse. But we are also going to have to just start rationing what we have to less impact ourselves. Because if these people on the front lines who keep the world going, if they go down, you're not going to have a truck to come bring more supplies, because they're going to be sick or dead. I'm not trying to throw panic here, but I'm trying to throw a real reality of why they're saying be part of the solution and not the problem, so less impact. When these people go to the hospitals and they get put on these ventilators, the doctors, they're having specials that are happening. A special right now is going on CNN where they talk about with medical professionals. If you are on the ventilators, if you're on those ventilators, there is a big chance that you are not going to survive. And especially when you're on those ventilators with the coronavirus, because this is like a new virus, and your body, like this is not like you're on a ventilator and you might be unconscious, or, what a lot of times those ventilators are for. This is where you are very aware, but you just can't breathe. So then, like they said, the uncomfortableness of these tubes. And, your reaction is to maybe pull them out this, in different scenarios. They're trying to treat these patients and give them some type of comfortability with morphine and other things. But they are running out of these supplies because these are now in demand. They're doing what they have to do in case-by-case scenarios. Then, if this person codes, then they got to take that same machine and clean it and get it ready for the next person. And then they have to have the proper way to set it up. You're talking about overworked staff and all of that. And as they stated, if one part of that machine is not cooked right, that could be the life and death of someone. So we have to take this serious with what is going on, and make it less impactful for people, and make it less impactful for yourself, because you don't want to find yourself going into a hospital because of getting out here just to go get something that you could have rationed down. So now, especially for those of various beliefs, a stomachful is a stomachful. A mouthful is a mouthful. Half of a drink or a few sips should satisfy. You're going to have to ration yourselves as much as possible, and think of different ways that you can use other things to keep from using other things too much. It's just important. If you care about yourself and you care about your life and you care about the life of others, you have to do these things that you have normally have not done. Now, the controversial moment is with President Trump, and he is praising a particular medication that is used for lupus patients. Number one, we're already seeing the headlines that those who have lupus, this is an autoimmune disease that has no cure. And it is a very complicated disease, but more manageable now. I know people personally who had lupus, and way back then they died because they didn't have the manageable medications that they have now. And I know people now who are survivors of lupus thus far because of these advancements in medications. And now with the president touting the lupus patients' medication as a possible cure to the coronavirus without any responsibility of factual facts. Now this compromises those who suffer from lupus, and it's just irresponsible, and it is just so unfair to do that as a leader of a nation when the FDA has not approved it. And looking at this real quick, myself and 1021 Media Group, the medications for lupus, as far as the COVID-19, the Lupus Foundation of America is about protecting the availability of this drug, and it is called hydroxychloroquine. They are adamant, and I don't blame them, for protecting their lupus patients to have their medication that has been proven, tested, FDA proven for them. And they said it. And you could go on the Lupus Foundation of America to see this. They are taking the necessary steps to protect the health and availability of hydroxychloroquine for people with lupus, and resources that will help them stay both mentally and physically healthy during this uncertain time. And I read this from the foundation. If you have lupus, you're at a higher risk for infections like the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. Some people with lupus may also be at risk for more serious complications from catching the coronavirus. The situation is changing rapidly. As soon as we are aware of a change in recommendations, we will update our information. Your local health department is the best source of risk information in your area. And they state, April the 4th, 2020. There is no evidence that taking Chloroquine, which is the name of the hydroxychloroquine, there is no evidence that taking this drug is effective in preventing a person from contracting the coronavirus, COVID-19. People out there who have lupus, and other people may know that you may have it, please take necessary precautions to protect your medication at all costs. And be about the business of protecting yourself should anyone lose their ever-loving minds and try and come for you and your medications. They are going to be tracking and investigating the access of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine for people using it for the COVID-19. And they're going to be tracking this at every state. And I hope people are going to be responsible, because this medication has not been tested at all as a cure. And I think that, again, it's irresponsible for the President of the United States to state this. And the spokesperson that he has, who is a professional for infectious disease, did not back the president on this. Matter of fact, when the press conference was going on, he remained quiet on that. It's just irresponsible to do that with these people with the autoimmune diseases, because that is their medications, and it is there to help them. So we will be keeping a close eye on those developments, because these people have to get their prescriptions filled, and then you put them in necessary danger, especially if you have someone who may feel like they were compromised and they know someone who has lupus, or they heard of someone who has lupus, and then now these people have to take extra precautionary steps in their home or wherever they go, because people could start being on this flow of, oh my God, you know, it's just messy. It's messy, and it's just irresponsible. So if you want to, with your own investigation, just keep an eye out for the Lupus Foundation of America, where they talk about these latest developments that are happening here. And then they also started to do a little small talk about those who suffer from other autoimmune diseases with their medications. They've also started to talk about those who suffer from rheumatoid arthritis, those who suffer from osteoarthritis, and, you know, all of them are in the same family of the autoimmune disease. So, you know, it's just like these people have enough to worry about with their own autoimmune diseases. And then you get this kind of revelation that's not a revelation and just hasn't been approved by anyone. These tests that have been done so far have been done on animals, have been done on mice, not on humans. So then if someone who is in a state of compromise, or they have the coronavirus and they take that medication, not knowing the side effects, the pros, risks, or cons of the side effects for taking this, then what happens? Because there are side effects. There's side effects to every drug. I mean, people know that. You know that. There are side effects to every drug. So when I mentioned Plaquenil and hydroxychloroquine, are they the same? Well, they belong in a class of aminoquinoline. That's a class they belong in. And they are beneficial to patients for rheumatoid arthritis. They are beneficial for people with lupus, and especially chronic discard lupus. So they're different variations of lupus, okay? And is it a steroid? Here are some questions. Well, there are two types prescribed for lupus patients: the Plaquenil and Chloroquine, which is Aralen. Unlike the rapid response seen with steroids, they're just kind of vague on that, but they're just saying that over time it does help with your lupus symptoms. So what are the side effects of taking hydroxychloroquine? Nausea, stomach cramps, loss of appetite, diarrhea, dizziness, or headaches may occur. Who should not take this medication? If you have blood or bone marrow problems, diabetes, eye vision problems, muscle problems, nerve problems, blood disorder, psoriasis, stomach or bowel problems, you have to use with caution. So you're touting this medication specifically approved for lupus patients. And then you want to give it to the general public who may have contracted coronavirus and they might have some of these symptoms. And so then what? More issues. More issues. More issues. More issues. We have got to do better Our president has got to do better. His cabinet team has got to do better as far as not throwing the irresponsibility out here. Because we're already high strung, high intensity. We don't need to throw a community that has their own set of daily issues with lupus thrown into the mix, and then they get high strung out and stressed, which doesn't do well on the immune system, because their drug is now almost being compromised when there has not come from any medical person of authority to say that their medication will help those who have the coronavirus. It is so irresponsible and immature to do that. So we'll be talking more about that as well. We just have to be responsible. People affected with lupus already have their own sets of challenges. People who are affected with rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, they have their own set of daily issues. They don't need this. They don't need to feel like their medication is going to be taken away because of this, touting. The president is not a doctor. And the president doesn't have a doctor backing him on that. So these drugs that these people who have lupus depend on, what we're reading in the headlines is that they could possibly have like a short supply. And that they're going to have to struggle to get their medications because of what the president is saying out there. What harm could it do? That's what he said. It could do a lot of harm. It could do a lot of harm to the person who has coronavirus. I mean, you're just telling them to take something willy-nilly that they may not know what they're getting themselves into. There are already side effects for those who suffer from lupus. And there are already side effects for these other drugs that they may start talking about that's happening for other people with their autoimmune diseases. We have got to pull it together. These heads of offices have to start pulling it together. You've got to start pulling it together. Make sure you, again, look at your news sources online, offline, radio, to find the latest of what's going on, because we all now going to have to start looking at the latest of what's going on with us and with the nation. And again, doing by the numbers, we hope that those peaks that the Surgeon General is talking about, that those peaks do not happen. I truly hope that we see a decline in that. And let's just do what we can, those of us, and do more social distancing, do what we can, and be less impactful with putting others at risk and putting ourselves at risk. Get out when you really, really need to be out. Start rationing your goods as much as possible, and hopefully this storm will pass. All right, we are going to lighten the load after this. And you can follow the platforms where we'll be doing our up-to-date commentary on Twitter. We'll be doing more of our commentary there. And we're also on Instagram, and we're on Facebook. And we will be doing a lot more things here on our official YouTube. I want to thank Team 1021 for being behind the scenes and getting the research done and, you know, making all of this possible. It's not just me, myself, but it's others. And so I really, really appreciate it in these times, because we are in some times that none of us ever seen before. All right, so when we come back, we're going to lighten the load, and we're just going to be giving you information, news that you can use, and getting some things that you may not have thought about. So it definitely would be some show and tell. And with this Palm Sunday and a beautiful Sunday, we're going to really be turning up a little bit more of the chill. And then, of course, we are taking this very, very seriously, the coronavirus. So come back and chill. And let's get some more of the things that you may need as we get through this pandemic together. Peace and love, everybody, and happy Palm Sunday. I'm BEBE Davis, publisher and founder of 1021 Magazine. And more to come.